In what may be the perfect example of the bias against men in STEM that is emerging, is a story about a man who complained about bias against men and then was suspended for complaining about bias against men. I don't believe that there is an overwhelming bias against men, to say it for the 80th time. I believe that in certain circumstances, policies of affirmative action can discriminate against people of varying identities for no reason other than their identity, and that's not cool. It's not cool, man. I don't know what's going on in STEM. I don't know what's going on at CERN. All I know is what this guy is claiming, and maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But here's the thing. We basically have a story about this guy, Professor Alessandro Strumia. He gave a presentation where he said women are being promoted and given jobs simply because they're women, and men are being, rejected. And then he explained, which makes his presentation very, very biased, that he believes he was passed over for a job to an underqualified woman or to a less qualified woman because she was a woman. He was then suspended. So here's the thing. If you're trying to prove that men aren't being discriminated against, don't punish the guys who are worried men are being discriminated against, because then it makes you look bad. So here's the story. It's from College Fix. CERN suspends professor after saying men are discriminated against in STEM fields. Alessandro Strumia was suspended for a controversial presentation he recently gave that claimed the field of physics is not sexist towards women, but that the truth does not matter because of a political debate from the outside. The talk drew criticism and blowback from large swaths of the science community who accused Strumia of promoting a perspective that was biased toward women. This despite a recent Cornell University student that found women are preferred to men on the STEM tenure track by a ratio of 2-to-1. In a September 28 talk at CERN laboratories in Switzerland, Strumia, a physicist at Pisa University in Italy, claimed men are being discriminated against in the STEM field because of ideology, not because of merit. Physics invented and built by men, not by invitation. One of the slides Strumia presented read. Now here's the thing. Here, we'll give Strumia some pushback here. Physics was invented and built by men. It was indeed. But for thousands of years, you literally couldn't have women working in these areas. So, some women did over time. And now we're at a point, so it's called the pendulum swing, and I believe it's a problem. There was a point where they didn't let women do these jobs. Men would be like, no, we don't want women here, plain and simple. There was even one guy, I can't remember what happened, but he claimed that, the problem with women in science is that men fall in love with them, and then when women make mistakes, they cry or something. And so that may or may not be true. I don't know. The point is equal opportunity. If a woman wants to be a physicist, by all means, open the door, let her present her qualifications, and then be determined based on merit. Equality of outcome shows you that you'll end up with a 2-to-1, tenure track, right? Here's the interesting thing. Let's say that the reason we're seeing a tenure track favoring women 2-to-1 is because women are better physicists. If that's true, then affirmative action should be increasing the amount of men, because we want equality of outcome. This is not equality of outcome. 66% of your tenure track being female is not equality, okay? In which case, the men should be getting preferential treatment. If that's true, then there is a bias against men, and affirmative action should compensate for that, plain and simple. He delivered the presentation to a predominantly female group of physicists at CERN, a European research organization that focuses on high-energy physics research. He also presented data he claimed showed that male and female researchers were equally cited at the start of their careers, but men scored progressively better as their careers progressed. CERN condemned the presentation and suspended Strumia from his position in the organization shortly thereafter. What excellent way to prove you don't discriminate, then instead of arguing against him and saying, hey, here's why he's wrong, you just kick him out, suspend him, and you take down his presentation. They took it off their website, okay? Imagine what would happen if the roles were reversed. Let's say that 20, 30 years ago, a woman gave a presentation saying women are being discriminated against, men are favored 2-to-1, showed a presentation proving it, and they said it was offensive, suspended her, and then took down her presentation. People would be like, that's so unfair. Why would they think that's unfair? Let me tell you my theory about culture and feminism. I, for one, support equality of opportunity for all, men and women, any race, gender identity, etc. I believe everyone should have an equal opportunity and be treated with equal human and civil rights. But what I think ends up happening with a situation like this is the overwhelming presumption that women are weak and need help. Because of that presumption, men are presumed to be strong and don't need help. So when a man claims he's being discriminated against, it's seen as offensive. And I don't mean offensive as in bothersome, as it's presumed to be an offense. It is a man going on the offensive to make an attack against women. When women make the same claims, it's considered to be defensive. The reason? People inherently view women as weak and in need of help. Naturally, there's historical precedent as to why people might believe that. Women were kept out of work and industry for a really long time. It's true. The glass ceiling, it's a thing that exists. I don't know at what point you can say it's gone or not. People have different views on it. But the fact remains that as of today, there are, white knight male allies that are helping feminists, not because they believe in equality, but because they believe women are too weak to do it on their own. And I'm not saying all male feminists. I'm just saying, when you look at something like this, a man being suspended for making a complaint shows that they presume he is making an attack against women, and that a woman saying the same thing is only being defensive, whereas there should be no difference. If we are equal, if genders, sexes, identities, national origins are equal, then we should all consider it to be defensive. This guy is reacting to something. He shouldn't be suspended and have his work taken down because of it. It should be addressed in the same manner. Anyone should have it addressed. The reason why it's an issue to suspend this man is that we can't assume women are weak. We can't assume they will always be weak. And if we do, if our approach to a situation like this is that we assume women are weaker and need help, what happens in 50 years when the tenure track for women is 10-1, and then a guy says, hey, how come there's not enough men? They say, you're attacking women. You're a misogynist. It doesn't make sense. If the reality is that, let's look at this, right? He's claiming that the tenure track ratio of 2-1 favoring women is proof that there's discrimination against women. I don't think that's proof. I'm sorry, discrimination against men. I don't think that's proof. I do not believe this is proof that they're discriminating against men. Because you could equally argue it's proof that women are better physicists. In which case, it's not that men are discriminated against, it's that women are better. If women are better physicists, then the discrimination is coming from merit, and men should be promoted more to create equality. The fact that they took him out in the face of this data suggests that there is an inherent belief that when a man complains, it's offensive, and when a woman complains, it's defensive. 10, 15 years, we're going to see this ratio get worse potentially, and then when people actually start complaining, well, let's think about, any instance of identity politics. At what point do we determine the privilege to have been resolved, right? They talk about white privilege. When will there never be white privilege? Are we going to end up in a world where you're in a country of, like 5% white people, and they say, well, even though you're a minority with no political power, for the longest time you had it, so you still technically have privilege? Will there ever come a time where the narrative flips? If women are the majority of college students, and they are, they're the majority of, I believe they're the majority of students and graduates, at what point do we say they are the privileged majority and men are the oppressed minority? The assumption from most people is that it will never happen. When you realize that colleges are overwhelmingly female, it's actually slightly more female, but graduates tend to be more female. The tenure track tends to be 2-1 female. Then is it safe to say then that women are not oppressed anymore? That they're privileged? And if the answer is no, why? At what point are we going to say we have solved the problem of misogyny and sexism in the profession, in academia, and in industry? Personally, I don't think we will. And I don't think we will because even the feminists, even these people believe that women are weaker. Personally, I don't. And you know what's really funny? I was talking to a feminist and I said, if there was any group of people that believed women are powerful and capable and don't need any help, it would be men's rights activists. And this feminist scoffed at me. She's like, what, are you joking? They hate women, blah, blah, blah. And I said, listen, they are so concerned with women having more power and more privilege that they're actively fighting against it. Do you think the male feminists believe women are strong? No, they're trying to help you because they think you can't do it on your own to a certain extent. Not all male feminists, but think about it. At its core, a male feminist is someone saying, I should be helping women do this. Why? Why should you be helping them do this? Can't they do it on their own? Aren't they smart enough to advocate for what they need and what they want? And then think about the men's rights activists saying women are favored in these places, they have all this political power. Those people, the men's rights activists, are arguing that women are strong and are gaining too much or control too much. So if you want to talk about a group of people that really do believe that women are empowered, it's men's rights activists. And male feminists believe they are not. It's a really weird paradox, kind of. It's like a really weird situation. But here we have it. In my opinion, a really great example of inadvertently proving you actually are biased against men. Even if what he said is offensive, why suspend him? If a woman gave a presentation and was equally offensive, she wouldn't be fired for it. They'd give her, they'd applause. They'd say it's not offensive for her to go after men because men have historically controlled things. When will it change? When are we going to recognize that 2-to-1 in favor of women is not equality? It's not equality in any regard. Personally, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't. I think this is just a game of politics, and I think we're going to keep having a pendulum swing back and forth, smacking each other in the face, and we're never going to just grab it, stop it, and say, people are equal. People have an equal chance. I should rephrase that. Not everybody is equal in every regard. Some people are smart, some are dumb. Some people get straight A's, some people get straight F's. Some people are 6 foot tall and can do a double backflip, and some people can barely get out of bed. But it doesn't mean they're less or more deserving of human rights. That's the issue. Equality of opportunity. If you weigh 800 pounds, you want to be a firefighter, by all means, come take the test. I don't think you're going to pass. If you're 5 feet tall and you want to take the test to become a firefighter, by all means, you have every right to do it. And it's just, the sad truth is that people are different. You gotta play to your strengths. We're all dealt a different hand of cards. Some hands are really good. One guy got a royal flush. It's not fair. It was luck. However, if you play poker, you know you can beat the best hand in poker if you just play it right. I have seen some really amazing plays. Actually, just the other day, I was watching a poker game, and some dude had a terrible hand. It wasn't bad, he had like a single pair. But the other guy had, I think he had like pocket aces. He had 2 aces. But the dude with the weaker hand knew how to play that hand right. He made the right calls. He made, he threw in the right amount of money, and he pushed the other guy out. Meaning, even if your hand is weaker, you can still win if you know how to use what you have. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go fire up the grill and relax for a little bit and cook some fresh meat. So I'll see you tomorrow at 4 on the main channel.